I'm about 80 hours into this game. I love this game, but I didn't really understand why, though. Some of my friends would hate this game. The pacing is very slow, and my friends would be right about that. This game is a very slow burn, but for folks like me, that's a plus. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Warp Zone. I'm Mello Joe, and today we're doing a review of Medieval Dynasty. What sets this game apart from other survival games is the passage of time and how this game incorporates it masterfully. It's a bold statement considering the community seems pretty split. Hold that thought and put a pin in it. We're going to come back to this later, but first, we need to talk about some other parts of the game. With a name like Medieval Dynasty, the mind conjures images of knights and castles, neither of which you'll see in this game. Medieval Dynasty forgoes the tired tropes of kings, knights, and some princess to save. Instead, you're 18-year-old Racemir, who has arrived in the valley in search of his uncle while starting his life. You soon learn that you're on your own, for now at least. It's just you and the clothes on your back. So your story begins pretty much like every survival game, and it's exactly what you'd expect initially. Collecting sticks and rocks, making crummy tools. You've done this before. The early part feels a little grindy, but that's kind of the point. Not the whole point. Avoiding the grind is part of it too. See, as you progress and grow your village, you're able to recruit NPCs to live and work in your village. If you're still collecting all of your own materials mid-game, I don't want to say you're playing the game wrong, but you're meant to hand these tasks off to your villagers. It's a core game mechanic that some of the players don't fully embrace. Maybe they skip the tutorial. This is why they remind you on the loading screen that skipping the quest dialogue kills dolphins. It's okay to plant the fields yourself every season if you like that sort of thing. I find dealing with the crops in this game similar to games like Stardew Valley. Sometimes it's relaxing, especially early on, but after a while I'm ready to automate it. So it's left up to you as a player how much you want to continue to handle yourself as you progress, or you can hand it off to your minions. There's some story quests that help nudge you towards various aspects of the game and will help you progress with your village. A quick user interface nitpick here with the dialogue trees during the quest. I prefer dialogue options at the bottom. Obviously not a huge deal. Feels kind of old school with the placements they chose. Your eyes naturally move from top to bottom when you're reading, so sequentially top to bottom should be NPC dialogue, then your choices. If something felt off to you about this screen and you couldn't quite put your finger on it, there it is. I'm sorry you can't unsee it now, but this is the thing that was bothering you. Maybe it's better this way so that it's not just a complete wall of text. Like I said, it's a nitpick, not a deal breaker. The quests give you the backstory, the lore, if you will. The real story and the whole point of the game is the story that you build for yourself. Get married, have a kid, and then hand everything off to them. Work hard and build a good life for your family, and then do your best to make sure your children have a more comfortable life than you did. That goal of trying to give your kids a better life is one I've heard expressed in my family for generations, and it's, to me, the main point of the game, and it resonated really deeply with me. From the moment I started playing this game, I couldn't put it down, but I wanted to understand why, though. It has an interesting blend of genres with a focus on survival, blending in building and management sim elements. It's a combination of things I like, sure, but the combination alone even wasn't what made me love this game. Remember back near the beginning of the video when we touched on the passage of time? The way time passes in Medieval Dynasty is absolutely what makes this game unique. I wasn't sure about it at first. 3 in-game days makes a season, making 12 in-game days a year. And it always felt like there's not enough time to get everything done. I was telling my dad about this game, and that's when it clicked. It's supposed to feel that way. 10 priorities and only enough time and resources to complete maybe 2 projects. Dad knows that feeling, as does every farmer. It was like an epiphany. We were sitting on his front porch, reminiscing about the land beneath our feet. We're from a long line of farmers who worked that same land, and then it hit me. Holy shit, we're a dynasty, y'all. The passage of time in medieval Dynasty absolutely nails that feeling of not quite getting everything done. It's supposed to feel this way. Your goal is to ultimately make a more comfortable life for your kid, and because of that, you'll try to accomplish more than you're able. It's part of the experience, and they nail it perfectly. You see this barn? It's a tobacco barn. I took this picture when it was built. There was some tobacco growing near it. Desperately trying to finish the barn before the harvest. The pressure is on because the plants are already growing. It's a scenario that might play out in your game because it's a real thing on the farm. So when I was trying to figure out why I love this game, that's it. The passage of time, coupled with a sense of urgency, is masterfully crafted into the overall vibe of the game. Layer on top of that your long-term plan for your village, and the most relaxing elements of the game begin to reveal themselves as your short-term worries begin to shift to long-term stability. If you try this one out, you're going to be really tempted to monkey with the settings. Do yourself a favor and try a new game with the default settings and play for a few years in the game. Lean into the challenge, and the progress feels so much more rewarding. I would never say you're playing the game wrong, but I would also argue that if you set your game for longer seasons, you're robbing yourself of a key experience of the game. Oh, hold on. I failed my literacy test.
It's all good.
They've recently added multiplayer to the PC version, and I have really enjoyed playing Medieval Dynasty with one of my oldest friends. It's super simple to connect and get started. Console and Game Pass players, the multiplayer update is coming your way soon. The game is even more fun with friends, and you've got something to really look forward to there. Now, I know earlier I encouraged you to try out the game with the default settings. And here comes the part where I confess I did monkey with the settings like a big old hypocrite. Well, one setting. It's the crafting setting. Okay. The default settings feel like this. Imagine you're grilling out for your friends, and they're like, here's the patties. And you're like, yeah, hold on. The first one's almost done. We'll put the next one on as soon as the first one's done. No, it's cool, man. There's only 157 more. And then when you switch it off, it feels like you cook one patty and then bing, the whole plate is magically done. And neither of these settings feel right to me. It's two opposite extremes. It feels like the sweet spot should be somewhere in the middle. It takes far too long, relatively speaking, to craft things, but when you turn that option off, it feels way overpowered. So my biggest criticism of the game is this one specific part. The two options feel like extremes, and I wish there was a little, like a sweet spot in the middle, I guess. But, it's not a deal breaker, not a big gripe. So let's recap. There's building, it's good. There's survival, it's good. The management sim elements are okay. There's action sometimes, it's chill sometimes. Individually, none of the elements are groundbreaking, but layered together with the way the time passes in the valley, and it comes together to create a unique experience that I absolutely love, in spite of its few and minor flaws. No, it's not perfect, but it's really good. Most of my complaints are so minor, they're far outweighed by all the things that this game does really well.
Hello, sweetheart.
The NPCs have voices while they're out and about, but the quest dialogue's not voiced. I personally didn't find it off-putting, but I know some people get a little bit out of shape about that. So, it feels like it's worth noting. And it brings me to one last thing. It's a small studio behind this game, and I wanted to take a moment to put a spotlight on it. Render Cube. The team behind this game has continued to support it well after its release, with several significant content updates, all for free, including multiplayer. You know, I don't typically do reviews these days. In fact, this is my first review since 2010. The biggest change in the gaming industry since then has been the increasingly predatory nature of the games industry as a whole. So I want to take a moment to thank the developers for making a great game that's complete and continuing to support it anyway, by adding a whole new map and a multiplayer experience, and most importantly, not trying to milk us for every last cent. These guys are out here quietly setting an example of what the industry should follow. Meanwhile, this gem slipped under my radar, so I wanted to tell you about it. Since they're a small studio, I hope someone from there will see this. Thank you for making this game. I didn't expect the Dynasty part to resonate so much with me on such a deep personal level. I thought I was just getting into like another survival builder, honestly. And I can tell that you have some really thoughtful people on your crew. And I wanted to thank you all for some of the nuance and subtlety that exist below the surface of this game. You all have managed to capture some very real feelings in a game that are difficult to describe, let alone replicate. You've built a wonderful world for us to enjoy, and one day down the road, I hope you all have a sequel to add to your Dynasty. And if you need a voice actor or something, man, just send me the lines. I would do it in a heartbeat. In conclusion, I have no qualms about recommending this game. It feels like a good value at full price to me. It's included with Game Pass, so if you already have that, do yourself a favor and download it. Console and Game Pass players will get the new Oxbow map with multiplayer soon, and there's a future armor update down the road. It's already good, and they keep making it better. That's going to do it for this edition of the Warp Zone. I'm Mello Joe. Stick around if you want to see some more video games. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.